Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to continue my series looking at all of the information for the classes in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And today we're looking at the Spore Warden, and the class feat is a Mushroom Companion. The Fate Maker is accompanied by a Mushroom Companion that targets nearby enemies and deals poison damage. Pinging an enemy will cause your Mushroom Companion to lunge towards them. Any increases to the Fate Maker's damage also apply to their companions. So another one of the companion classes. And what's interesting with this companion is that pinging an enemy will actually cause your companion to lunge at that enemy, essentially using an ability on that enemy. And I think this is the first mention of using the ping system and having your companions follow those pings. For our first action skill, we have a Barrage. The Fate Maker summons an ethereal bow, firing 7 arrows that deal ability damage on impact. Arrows ricochet twice between nearby enemies. Barrage has multiple charges, and increases to gun damage apply to damage dealt by Barrage. So this just fires volleys of arrows that also ricochet between enemies, which makes it a very good AoE ability, and any increases to your gun damage also apply to this ability, meaning this ability could become an incredibly high damaging action skill. And then for our second ability, we have a Blizzard. The Fate Maker creates 3 frost cyclones for a duration that seek out nearby enemies, dealing frost ability damage over time. And this one actually looks really cool. They showed this off that revealed the Spore Warden, and it just spawns these 3 big frost tornadoes that follow enemies around, dealing damage. And since it's frost damage, this also seconds as an AoE CC ability because frost damage slows, but it builds up that slow to eventually be able to freeze enemies. So this ability I think will end up being very strong, especially in the end game chaos chambers where you're going to be facing hordes of enemies. Then for tier 1 of our passive skills, we have a Bounty of the Hunt, 5 points max. A kill skill, action skill cooldown rate is increased for a brief duration. So pretty simple, get a kill, your action skills are going to be able to be used more often. Then we have Kindred Heart, 5 points max. Companion health is increased and companion damage is increased. Then we have Eagle Eye, 5 points max. Gun damage is increased and gun handling is increased. So just a lot of passive stat increases. And then for tier 2, we have Affinity, 5 points max. Ability damage is increased. Then we have a Spore Cloud with 1 point max. Your Mushroom Companion will occasionally let one rip, taunting enemies and leaving a poison cloud that deals damage over time. So this is actually a pretty strong ability. Your companion now has a taunt, and this taunt seconds as a poison cloud AoE effect. Then we have Bullseye, 5 points max. Gun critical hit chance is increased. Companion critical hit chance is increased. So more just passive buffs. Then for tier 3, we have a Quiver of Holding, 3 points max. Magazine size is increased. The Fate Maker's currently equipped weapon regenerates ammo over time. Now this is very strong. Pretty much any effect in any of the Borderlands games that regenerates ammo over time is usually very heavily used and incredibly strong. And this also is going to be incredibly strong for things like rocket launchers, because rocket launcher ammo is so much more scarce than your other ammos, but regenerating ammo over time is incredibly strong. And also, this does not say if it's specifically in the magazine or not. And if this is regenerating ammo directly into your magazine, there's also a very good possibility of having builds using something like rocket launchers where you never have to reload. There were actually builds like this in Borderlands 3 where you would regenerate ammo into your magazine and never have to reload, and you could use different rocket launchers that were incredibly strong. Then we have Medical Mushroom, 1 point max. While the Fate Maker is in Save Your Soul, their Mushroom Companion will attempt to revive them. If it does, you and your companion gain increased damage dealt for a duration. Now this is actually a really cool alternative to the Graveborn being able to sacrifice a companion to get them up out of Save Your Soul. Instead, your Mushroom Companion just tries to revive you. I guess like another teammate would be able to revive you, and if it's able to revive you, both of you get increased damage. So actually a pretty cool effect, and also going to be incredibly strong in solo play. Then we have Windrunner, 3 points max. A kill skill, increase movement speed and fire rate for a duration, this effect can stack. And this will be a very fun effect because any effects that increase your movement speed always make your build much fun, just zooming around the map, and depending on how much it could stack, it could be pretty strong. Then for tier 4, we have Thrill of the Hunt, 3 points max, gun critical hits, grant increased companion damage for a duration. This effect can stack 10 times. And I don't know the exact damage increase of this right now, but stacking up 10 times, this is most likely going to be a pretty big damage increase. And also with multi-classing, you can have 2 companions out, so this would be overall a massive damage increase if you're a companion build with those 2 companions. Then we have Cold Shot, 3 points max. While aiming down sights, the Fate Maker gains an ever-increasing amount of gun damage and damage reduction. So this is a pretty cool effect because you have a lot of control over how it works. And this seems like it's something that stacks really high because how it's explained is an ever-increasing amount. It doesn't specifically say stacks, so it's most likely not a specific stack. It's most likely just showing you the damage increase and damage reduction increasing, and most likely there's a cap to how much of either of those you can get. And this would have the side effects of changing up how you actually play the game quite a bit. Then for tier 5, we have Wrath of Nature, 3 points max. Whenever the Fate Maker deals ability damage to an enemy, the affected enemy takes increased damage from all sources for a duration. Now this will be really strong in groups. So players that usually play in groups with their friends, this is something that will be incredibly good for group play. Then we have Headhunter, 1 point max. Gun damage dealt to critical hit areas is increased. And I'm wondering how this is going to differ just from critical hit damage increases, because there is stats for critical hit damage increases. And something to know with this is that all enemies aren't just going to have a crit spot on their head. Some normal enemies, you'll shoot them in the head, you'll get a crit. But on a lot of bosses, they're going to have a bunch of different crit spots. And on some bosses, those crit spots don't even take normal damage. So this could potentially be really strong on some specific bosses. And then finally for tier 6, we have Play the Angles, 1 point max. The Fate Maker's gun critical hits have a chance to ricochet, dealing reduced ability damage to a nearby enemy. Ricocheted shots have a small chance to ricochet an additional time. So this is actually pretty insane. And this is essentially just adding a buffed up version of the Jacob's manufacturer effect from Borderlands 3, which was if you hit a crit, the bullet would ricochet. But something to note with this is in this game, there is just a critical hit chance stat. So you could put all your stats in a critical hit chance and just shoot anywhere and get a bunch of ricochets. And it also scales off of ability damage. So that has a possibility of allowing you to even scale it in a better way. And then ricochet shots also have a chance to ricochet themselves. And it seems this secondary ricochet chance is just based on a percentage chance instead of based off a critical hit. But I could definitely see some legendary weapons probably having some nasty interactions with this. If you have some legendary weapon that has a ridiculous fire rate or shoots out like a ton of bullets at the same time, maybe some really tight shooting shotgun, you could just have bullets ricocheting absolutely everywhere. Could be a really fun build. And that's pretty much everything I want to go over for the Spore Warden. And even though this is not going to be one of the classes I'm trying out first, I'm still incredibly excited to get to this class later down the line and start making builds for it. There's already a bunch of builds. I'm thinking about just reading through all of the passives and stuff like that. And especially with the Capstone passive for the Spore Warden, there are definitely going to be some pretty crazy build possibilities with this class. But that's pretty much all I want to go over. So subscribe if you want to see more Wonderlands or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about the Spore Warden, and thanks for watching.